The dust swirled around Emma's boots as she stepped off the Greyhound bus in Cedar Ridge, Texas. The small town looked exactly like the postcards her grandmother used to send. Weathered buildings, pickup trucks parked at odd angles, and endless blue sky stretching toward the horizon. She clutched her single suitcase tighter, wondering if she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. 3 days ago, she'd been sitting in her cramped Chicago apartment, staring at foreclosure notices and unpaid bills scattered across her kitchen table. The corporate job that had promised security had vanished overnight when the company downsized. Her savings account showed a balance that wouldn't cover next month's rent, let alone the mountain of debt her ex-boyfriend had left behind when he disappeared with her credit cards. That's when the letter arrived from Aunt May's lawyer. Emma barely remembered her great-aunt, just fragments of childhood visits filled with homemade cookies and stories about ranch life. But May had left Emma something unexpected, a 200-acre cattle ranch in rural Texas, complete with a small herd and a farmhouse that needed work. "You sure this is where you want to be dropped off, miss?" the bus driver asked, eyeing the empty main street. "Next stop isn't for another 100 miles. Emma nodded, forcing confidence into her voice. "This is perfect. Thank you." The bus rumbled away, leaving her standing alone with nothing but her determination and a hand-drawn map to the Lazy M Ranch. She started walking, her city shoes already collecting dust from the unpaved road that led out of town. The Texas sun beat down mercilessly, and within 20 minutes, Emma's shirt was soaked with sweat. She'd grown up visiting her grandparents' farm in Illinois, but this was different, harsher, more demanding. The landscape stretched endlessly in all directions, broken only by occasional fence posts and the distant outline of hills. A pickup truck appeared on the horizon, growing larger as it approached. Emma stepped to the side of the road, grateful for any sign of civilization. The truck slowed, then stopped beside her. The window rolled down, revealing a man who looked like he'd stepped straight out of a Western movie. He had dark hair beneath a well-worn cowboy hat, sun-weathered skin that spoke of years working outdoors, and green eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. His smile was easy, genuine, the kind that made strangers feel welcome. "You look like you could use a ride," he said, his voice carrying the soft drawl that Emma was already learning to love about Texas. "I'm Jake Meachett. You must be Emma Carson. May told me you might be coming out this way." Emma felt a wave of relief. "You knew my aunt? May was one of the finest people in this county. Helped my family through some tough times when I was growing up." Jake reached across to open the passenger door. "Climb in. It's too hot to be walking in the sun." The truck's air conditioning felt like heaven against Emma's overheated skin. She settled into the worn leather seat, noting how clean and well-maintained the vehicle was despite its obvious age. "I run the property next to yours," Jake explained as they drove. "Been keeping an eye on the Lazy M since May passed. She made me promise to help you get settled if you decided to take on the ranch." Emma studied his profile as he drove. There was something solid about him, dependable. His hands on the steering wheel were calloused from hard work, and she noticed how he automatically slowed when they passed a group of cattle, his eyes scanning them with professional interest. "I have to be honest," Emma said. "I don't know the first thing about running a ranch. I've been working in marketing for the past 5 years. Before that, I helped on my grandparents' farm during summers, but that was mostly vegetables and a few chickens." Jake's smile widened. May figured as much. She left detailed instructions for everything: when to move the cattle, which pastures to rotate them through, contact information for the vet, and the feed store. "Plus, you've got good neighbors. Folks around here look out for each other." They turned onto a gravel road marked by a simple wooden sign, Lazy M Ranch. Emma's breath caught as the farmhouse came into view. It was exactly as she'd imagined, a 2-story white house with a wraparound porch surrounded by oak trees that provided blessed shade. Beyond the house, she could see a red barn, several smaller outbuildings, and in the distance, cattle dotting the green pastures. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "May always kept it nice," Jake agreed, pulling up beside the front porch. "She left the keys with me. Figured you might arrive while the lawyer's office was closed." Jake retrieved a ring of keys from his glove compartment and led Emma up the porch steps. The front door opened to reveal a living room that felt frozen in time. Floral furniture, family photographs covering every surface, and the lingering scent of the lavender sachets May had loved. The electricity and water are still connected, Jake said, flipping on lights as they walked through the house. Phone service, too. May's lawyer has been paying the bills from the estate account until you could take over. The kitchen was spacious and practical, with a large farmhouse table and windows that looked out over the backyard. Emma noticed a thick folder on the counter labeled "For Emma" in careful handwriting. May's instructions, Jake explained. She spent months putting that together after she got sick. Every detail you'll need to know about running this place. Emma opened the folder, finding pages of notes in May's neat script. Feeding schedules, veterinary contacts, seasonal tasks, even recipes for the ranch hand's favorite meals. Her great-aunt had thought of everything. There's something else, Jake said quietly. May hired a couple of hands to help with the daily work, Tom Bradley and his son Miguel. They've been keeping things running since she passed. Good men, honest workers. You'll need them, especially while you're learning. As if summoned by his words, two figures appeared in the kitchen doorway. The older man was clearly Tom, weathered face, gray mustache, and the careful posture of someone who'd spent decades in the saddle. The younger man beside him had Tom's same steady eyes, but was clearly of Hispanic heritage. "You must be Emma," Tom said, removing his hat. "May talked about you all the time. Said you had her stubborn streak and her good heart." Miguel stepped forward with a shy smile. "Welcome to Texas, Miss Emma. We've been looking forward to meeting you." Emma felt overwhelmed by their kindness. In Chicago, she'd grown used to suspicion from strangers, to having to prove herself constantly. Here, these men were welcoming her based on nothing more than May's word and their own generous spirits. "I know I have a lot to learn," Emma said. "I hope you'll be patient with me." "Nothing to it," Tom assured her. "Ranching's not rocket science. It's mostly common sense, hard work, and paying attention to what the land and animals are telling you." Jake glanced at his watch. "I should let you get settled. But before I go, dinner's at 6 at my place. My sister Sarah's cooking, and she made me promise to invite you. She's excited to have another woman around who's under 60. Emma wanted to accept immediately, but hesitated. She'd learned to be cautious about trusting too quickly, especially after her ex-boyfriend betrayal. But looking at Jake's honest face and remembering his connection to May, she felt something she hadn't experienced in months: safety. "I'd like that," she said. "Great. I'll pick you up at 5:30. Jake handed her his business card. "My cell number's on there. Call if you need anything at all, even if it seems small." May made me promise to look after you. After Jake left, Tom and Miguel showed Emma around the property. The barn was well-maintained, filled with the tools and equipment needed to run a cattle operation. The horses, 3 of them, were healthy and friendly, clearly well cared for during the transition period. May always said the secret to good ranching was treating the animals like family. Miguel explained as they watched the cattle grazing in the near pasture. "These beeves know their names. They'll come when called, most of them." Emma laughed, charmed by the idea of cattle with names. "How many are there?" 43 head right now," Tom replied. "Good breeding stock. May always bought quality over quantity. Come fall, you'll sell the calves and keep the best heifers for breeding. Should bring in enough income to cover expenses and leave you something to live on." The financial pressure in Emma's chest eased slightly. She'd been terrified of taking on a business she knew nothing about, but May had clearly built something sustainable. As the afternoon wore on, Emma explored the house more thoroughly. Her bedroom, May's former room, was upstairs, with windows facing both the front and back of the property. The view was spectacular, especially toward the west where the sun would set over the rolling hills. She found May's clothes still hanging in the closet, along with a note pinned to the mirror. "Emma, dear, take anything that fits. The rest can go to the church clothing drive. Live your life with joy. Love, Aunt May." Emma sat on the bed, holding the note, feeling the weight of May's love and expectations. Her great-aunt had given her not just a ranch, but a chance at a completely different life. The question was whether she was brave enough to take it. At 5:30 sharp, Jake knocked on the front door. Emma had changed into the one nice dress she'd packed, a simple blue sundress that brought out her eyes. She'd spent the last hour going through May's folder, trying to absorb years of ranching wisdom in a single afternoon. "You look nice," Jake said, and Emma was pleased to see genuine appreciation in his eyes rather than the calculating looks she'd grown used to from men in the city. "Thank you. I was worried about being underdressed." "This isn't Chicago," Jake laughed. "Around here, clean clothes and good manners are about all anyone expects." Jake's house was a short drive away, a newer ranch-style home surrounded by well-tended gardens. The woman who answered the door was clearly his sister. Same green eyes, same warm smile, but with an energy that seemed to fill the room. "You must be Emma. I'm Sarah Mitchell Rodriguez, and I've been dying to meet you. Come in, come in. I hope you're hungry, because I may have gone a little overboard with dinner." The dining room table was laden with food: barbecued brisket, cornbread, green beans with bacon, mashed potatoes, and what looked like 3 different desserts. Emma realized she hadn't eaten anything substantial since breakfast, and the smell made her stomach growl audibly. "Sorry," she said, embarrassed. "Don't apologize for having an appetite," Sarah laughed. "That's the best compliment a cook can get. Jake told me you just arrived today. You must be exhausted." Over dinner, Emma learned that Sarah was married to the local high school principal, had 2 teenage daughters who were at friend houses, and ran a successful catering business from her home. Jake had taken over their family's ranch 5 years ago when their father retired to Florida. "What made you decide to leave Chicago?" Sarah asked. "Jake said you were working in marketing." Emma found herself telling them about the job loss, the debt, and the foreclosure notices. She'd expected to feel shame talking about her failures, but Sarah and Jake listened without judgment, nodding with understanding. "Sometimes life has to back you into a corner before you're brave enough to try something new," Sarah said gently. "I was working as a nurse in Dallas when I met Carlos. Thought I'd die of boredom in a small town. Now I can't imagine living anywhere else." "What changed your mind?" Emma asked. "The people," Sarah replied immediately. "In the city, you can live next to someone for years and never know their name. Here, your neighbors become family. When Carlos had his heart attack 2 years ago, we had meals delivered for 6 weeks, help with the girls, people checking on us constantly. That's worth more than any job or convenience." Jake walked Emma back to her front porch later that evening, the summer air finally beginning to cool. The sky was ablaze with stars, more than Emma had ever seen in her life. "Light pollution," Jake explained when she commented on them. "Out here, you can see the whole universe." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, listening to the night sounds: cattle lowing in the distance, an owl calling from the oak trees, the gentle whisper of wind through the grass. "Jake," Emma said finally, "why are you being so kind to me? You don't even know me." He was quiet for a long moment, considering his words. "May saved my family when I was 16. My dad had gotten hurt, broke his back when a horse threw him. We were about to lose everything. May stepped in, helped us restructure our debt, even loaned us money to get through that first year. Never asked for anything in return except that we pay it forward when we could." Emma felt a warm glow in her chest. May's generosity was still rippling outward years later. "Besides," Jake added with a grin, "she told me you were special. Said you had grit hidden under all that city polish. May was never wrong about people." "I hope she wasn't wrong about me," Emma said softly. "She wasn't." Jake's voice carried absolute certainty. "You wouldn't be here if you didn't have what it takes. Good night, Emma. Tomorrow we'll start turning you into a real rancher." As his truck disappeared down the driveway, Emma sat on the porch swing, feeling something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. The ranch was beautiful, the people were kind, and for the first time since her life had fallen apart in Chicago, she felt like she might actually succeed at something. Inside the house, She found May's journal on the nightstand beside the bed. The first entry was dated just after May's doctor had given her the terminal diagnosis. If Emma comes here, it will be because she needs a fresh start as much as this old ranch needs fresh energy. I've built something good, something lasting. Now it's time to pass it on to someone who will love it like I have. Emma has her grandmother's strength and her mother's kind heart. She'll make this place sing again. Emma closed the journal, tears blurring her vision. May had believed in her before they'd even met, had trusted her with a lifetime's work based on family love and hope for the future. She fell asleep that night to the sound of cattle calling across the pastures, dreaming of sunrises over rolling hills and the possibility of building something meaningful with her own hands. The next morning, Emma woke before dawn to the sound of voices outside her window. She dressed quickly and found Tom and Miguel in the barn, preparing for the morning feeding. "Morning, Miss Emma," Miguel called cheerfully. "Ready for your first day of ranch school?" "As ready as I'll ever be," Emma replied, pulling on the work gloves May had left hanging by the barn door. Tom showed her how to check the automatic waterers, explaining the importance of fresh, clean water for every task had a clear purpose, an immediate result she could see. Jake arrived as they were finishing the feeding, carrying a toolbox and wearing work clothes instead of the clean shirt and jeans from the night before. "Time to fix that loose board in the north pasture fence," he announced. Good day for Emma to learn basic fence repair. They loaded tools and fence posts into Jake's truck and drove out to where several cattle stood near a section of fencing with one board hanging at an angle. "Fence maintenance is critical," Jake explained as he set up a portable drill. "Cattle will find any weakness and exploit it. One loose board becomes a gap becomes an escape route, and escaped cattle become every rancher's nightmare." Emma watched carefully as Jake demonstrated the proper technique for replacing the damaged board, then handed her the drill. "Your turn." Her first attempt was clumsy, the screw going in crooked. Jake patiently showed her how to adjust her grip and approach, and as they worked, Jake told her about the seasonal rhythms of ranch life. Breeding season in early summer, calving in spring, the fall roundup when they separated calves from mothers for weaning and sale. It sounded complex, but Jake made it seem manageable, breaking it down into understandable steps. May always said ranching was just farming with legs, he said, making Emma laugh. They spent the afternoon moving cattle from one pasture to another, a process that seemed chaotic at first, but gradually revealed its own logic. The cattle knew the routine, following established paths between gates with minimal encouragement. "The secret is reading their body language," Jake explained as they moved the last few stragglers. "Cattle communicate constantly. You just have to learn their language." Emma watched the way he positioned himself, how he used gentle pressure to guide the animals without forcing them. It was like a dance, humans and cattle moving together in a pattern that benefited everyone. That evening, Sarah arrived with a casserole and fresh bread, insisting Emma was too tired to cook after her first full day of ranch work. They ate dinner on the front porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. "How are you feeling?" Sarah asked. "Overwhelmed? Ready to run back to Chicago?" Emma considered the question seriously. Her back ached from unaccustomed physical work. Her hands were already developing new calluses, and she'd stepped in something unpleasant at least twice. But underneath the exhaustion, she felt something she'd been missing for years. Purpose. "I'm tired," she said honestly. "But it's good tired. Like I've actually accomplished something today." Jake nodded approvingly. "That's the difference between working with your hands and pushing papers. At the end, I know May asked you to help, but this goes beyond obligation." Jake was quiet for a long moment, his expression thoughtful in the fading light. "Can I tell you something?" he said finally. Emma nodded. "I was engaged once. To a woman from Dallas who thought ranch life would be romantic. Lasted about 6 months before she decided she needed more excitement, more culture, more everything that Cedar Ridge could offer." His voice held old pain, but no bitterness. "After that, I figured I'd stay single. Easier than trying to explain why I love this life to someone who doesn't understand it. Emma felt her heart skip. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? But watching you today, too many women see only what Cedar Ridge lacks instead of what it provides. Maybe when Emma comes, if she stays, if she learns to love this place like I do, well, an old woman can hope. Emma smiled, recognizing May's matchmaking instincts even from beyond the grave. Her great aunt had orchestrated more than just a ranch inheritance.